The Category 5 Super-typhoon Haiyan has slammed into the central Philippines, leaving swathes of destruction in its wake. It ripped through towns and villages, setting off landslides and forcing millions of people to flee their homes. The number of casualties isn't clear. The authorities have warned of catastrophic damage. The Philippines are spread along the world's most active typhoon belt. Plentiful supplies of warm water and moist air help create the energy that makes the superstorms. Satellite imagery over the last 24 hours showed the extent of Typhoon Haiyan's progress. The eye of the storm covers a huge landmass, including Cebu City, with a population of 2.5 million. It's now heading across the South China Sea towards Vietnam, as our science editor Tom Clark reports.
These pictures, filmed on a mobile phone, show what may be the most powerful storm ever to make landfall. As it passed over the Philippines today, Super-typhoon Haiyan sustained winds of 195 miles an hour, with gusts in excess of 200. Winds that fast can create pressures that blast off roofs and smash out windows. 4 people are confirmed to have died, though more casualties are inevitable. Power and phone lines are still down in the large island provinces of Samar, Leyte and Bohol, from where there has been little news.
This typhoon has been extremely strong. I talked to my colleagues early this morning who were right there when the typhoon hit the land in the eastern Philippines, and they said that there was the scariest winds they've ever seen.
Typhoons are routine here. Haiyan is the 24th storm to hit this year. When the warnings came earlier this week, 1 million people evacuated in preparation. But the Philippines, nor anywhere else, has ever seen a storm of this ferocity. Its violence is invisible from the stillness of space, but the size of Haiyan is astonishing, bigger than Britain at its widest point. The storm has gone off the end of the Vorax scale, the international ranking of superstorms. It hit the Philippines harder than Hurricane Katrina. The winds whipped up colossal waves, flooding densely populated coastlines.
I saw those big waves and immediately told my neighbours to flee. We thought it was a tsunami.
This barge was blown firmly aground. Rather than stay aboard, the 15-member crew decided to swim for it. Somehow all of them made it to safety. It's expected most people will have evacuated the shorelines, but the destruction is complete. And it's not just the wind. Inland rainfall carried by the storm has caused widespread flooding and landslides. Most homes don't easily go on a trailer. Thousands will have none to go back to.
We feel safe here. We're far from harm. At least we've got away from the floods, from the danger zone.
The country is still recovering from a weaker typhoon last year that killed 1,000 people. And just a few weeks ago, an earthquake levelled towns in Bohol, the popular tourist destination square in the superstorm's path. Today, a president with a major clean-up operation on his hands addressed the disaster-weary people.
No storm can bring a united Filipino people to its knees. It is my hope that we all stay safe in the coming days.
By tomorrow morning, Super-typhoon Haiyan will have blown through the Philippines, but it could strengthen over the South China Sea before making landfall again in Vietnam or China later this weekend.
Well, earlier I spoke to Nicola Jones from the British Red Cross from the island of Bohol, where they're still recovering from the devastation caused by an earthquake last month. She told me there's already been 24 serious storms in the region this year alone, and I asked her how this one compared.
This is the 24th major storm that has happened in the Philippines just this year. So people are quite well versed in how to prepare and what to do, but this storm is the biggest one of the year, and it has been said today that it's one of the biggest typhoons ever recorded. So even by the Philippine standards, where people are well versed in this kind of storm, it's massive. So although typhoons are common here, such super typhoons are not so common, and they do cause massive, massive problems.
So what are you hearing in terms of the damage caused?
It did hit further north of the island, much harder. And that was a big concern here because that's exactly the same area that's been devastated by the major earthquake 3 weeks ago. There's been the evacuation of about 125,000 families in those areas that were predicted to be the worst affected. So in terms of preparation, I think everything that could have been done has been done in this instance.
If you're looking at hundreds of thousands of homes destroyed, what's going to happen to those people over the next few days?
Well, I think there'll be a big reliance on evacuation centres still. A lot of those are being set up and have been set up in places like schools or bigger public buildings. But longer term, it will be a massive problem, and we have it now with the earthquake survivors in Bohol. People are sleeping outside, and that is causing health problems and bigger concerns on the ground here now.
And can people move around? Are the roads blocked?
Some roads are blocked. I think we've had a few landslides here. I think most people, there's also flooding as well, so I think there will be people who are more isolated, particularly in Leyte, in the island that was really badly affected today. But as I say, assessments are ongoing, so at the moment we're not sure exactly how much movement people have got.
Well, for more on what makes a super typhoon and on how Filipinos are using social media to show the world what's happening on the ground, go to the Channel 4 News website and follow the links.